The purpose of this talk is to show you how injury happens. By the time you're done with this, you're not only going to understand what leads to injury, but you're also going to better understand, well, what are the things that take us there so that we can avoid it happening? Every time you or someone you know has gotten hurt, this graph explains why. Let's make sure we understand. All too often, people are thinking about injury in terms of the last rep. Oh yeah, I did 150 of this thing, and by rep 137, my knees were singing. Oh yeah, that last pull off the floor, my low back was just lit. The last half mile of the entire race, my ankle was just really pissed off. Well, we want to make sure that we stop thinking about it as just the last rep and start understanding it as the straw that broke the camel's back. And let's take a look at how that works. This dotted line, this represents your capacity. Your capacity is very simply, what can your body handle? How much can you take before something goes wrong? And what we see here is that as long as we stay below our capacity, no problem. If we cross our capacity, it's a problem. And sometimes that problem can be painful. The reason I say sometimes and not always is if you have 150 pounds of capacity to move a couch that your friend wants help with, and the couch weighs 175 pounds, it's a problem because you're not going to be able to move it, but it's not necessarily painful. Now, in the case that a tissue has its capacity exceeded because you tried to do something that it couldn't handle, that might be painful. So we know the name of the game is stay below this line. Let's take a look at some of the factors that lead us towards crossing this line. We all wake up with a subset of conditions that we can call our previous existing loads that move and build towards our capacity. We want to know what each of these things are because we all wake up with them every single day. Me, you, and everyone else you know. The first box is your anatomical dysfunctions. By anatomical dysfunction, I just mean any time there is some aspect of your anatomy that isn't the way it's supposed to be or was before. So herniated disc, torn labrum, torn meniscus, rolled your ankle, broke your collarbone, any aspect of your anatomy that isn't favorable with respect to what you want to do. It might be something you were born with and it doesn't let you get into a certain position. For now, anatomical dysfunction. What isn't it allowing us to do? What function is it preventing us from being able to perform? The next box, this is your stress, your diet, and your sleep. This is your recovery box. This is the opportunity for you to come back from all the crazy things that you are doing to yourself every day. This is either you're in build-up mode or breakdown mode. Last box is your functional diagnosis. Now, this is not a medical diagnosis. This is what we as coaches would use to determine what can you do? What is your functional scope? What positions can you get into and out of, and how easily can you achieve them? With what kind of proficiency? It's just what can you do? What we need to know about these boxes is that they are adjustable, not only from person to person, but from day to day. So for example, the girl who works for herself, is relaxed as can be, does 20 minutes of mindful meditation in the AM and PM, is tracking her macros, is hydrated and electroconductive, hasn't had a lot of field sports injuries, and can move like butter. These boxes are probably going to be pretty small. The person who has an infant, has a boss screaming down their neck, really frustrated and tired, underfed, probably gonna have a really big load here. If someone can't move well, they're gonna have a bigger load here. And if someone's gotten a lot of previous injuries, they're going to have a bigger load here. So depending on the person and the profile, these boxes are going to be adjustable. Well, this is before we wake out of bed. Now life starts. Let's take a look at what happens. Well, you wake up and we do some stuff around the house. Let's call this house. All right, well, now it's time for work. Now, whether you're a manual laborer, or you sit at a desk for 6-8 hours, it's a big load on your system. Call this work. I don't know how many of you guys have gotten out of a long car ride, jumped out and said, man, my back feels awesome. Not too many. Well, now it's time for a workout. Great. What's on the menu? We got lunges. Fine. Push-ups. Fine. I feel my shoulder talking a little bit. It's nothing I'm going to write home about, but it's there. Pull-ups. And I don't even want to try to scratch my head. My arm is singing right now. Bad. Well, here's what's going to happen, whether this is new or old. Person's going to go to the doctor. Doctor's going to say, what happened? And you're gonna say, oh, I was doing a workout. I did some lunges, obviously no problem there. That was all with my legs. I did some push-ups and I kind of felt my shoulder a little bit. And then I did pull-ups and it was just all downhill. It was really, really bad. I couldn't wash my hair with my right hand for like 3 days. What's the doctor going to say to do with respect to pull-ups? If you're like most doctors who have not been trained in musculoskeletal care or who have not been trained in exercise science or physiology, you're probably going to say, got it. Just don't do those pull-ups. Perfect solution. And what we need to know is that the doctor is trying to do you no harm. And so what's happening now is that you are going to make a reconciliation of, do I do the thing I want to do, or do I stay out of pain? And that's a really lousy trade-off. For those of you who either have been in pain or know someone who has, it really sucks when you can't do the things you want and need to do. And what we need to know about these things up here is this is your wants and needs. This is the stuff of life. This is working out. This is hobbies. This is vacation. This is recreation. This is playing with your kids. This is taking out the garbage. These things down here, we would be happy to say goodbye to them forever. They're just building up space against our capacity, and they're not doing anything for us. Well, there has to be a better thing we can do than just don't do those things anymore. Let's take a look at what they are. What can we do about your anatomical dysfunctions? Previous injuries, wear and tear. Well, time machine's broken. You own those. Here's the good news. Your previous injuries aren't holding you back by themselves. Unless you have literally gotten a body part chopped off. If you have a torn meniscus and you're sitting on the couch, it might not hurt. There are a lot of people in the world who have had herniated discs, are out of pain, and are crushing it. I'm one of them. Best I've ever felt. This is not a death sentence in and of itself. You see that you still have a lot of space for things to happen and pile up. Well, stress, diet, and sleep. Is that something that we can improve? Yeah, absolutely. Now, it might not be in your scope, but your stress, diet, and sleep might be one of the most controllable factors on here. You can improve your sleep hygiene. You can improve what goes into your mouth. You can improve your response to thoughts and other people's reactions. You have control of these things. Now, if you're a professional guiding someone, you can't slap the candy bar out of people's hands and tuck them into bed after a lavender bath unless you have a borderline illegal relationship. But you can talk to them about how important this is so that they realize that it is bringing them up to their capacity. Now, I think this can be reduced to almost zero. Let's say that we cut it in half. That would be a really big win. Here's the new stress diet sleep box. Your functional diagnosis, flexibility, your mobility, your skill in and out of movement. Can that change? Yeah, absolutely. A huge part of the coach's job, of the personal trainer's job, is to improve ranges of motion when they need improving, and to improve control and strength in and out of positions. Now, I think barring anything you were born with, this can be reduced to almost nothing. Let's say we cut this in half. That would be a big win. Well, now we have the new anatomical dysfunction box. We have the improved stress diet and sleep box. And we have the improved functional diagnosis box. Let's take a look at what life looks like now on top of these. Stuff around the house, work, lunges, push-ups, pull-ups. And we're happily under the line. The shoulder, the capacity is not exceeded because we've cleaned up things we have control over that strongly influence how our joints move, feel, and perform. Well, here's what's going to happen. This person is going to be so excited. Wow, that felt great. That's what pull-ups are supposed to feel like. Amazing. I'm going to go do this crazy workout now. And they're going to be in a very confusing, frustrating cycle of, why does this hurt? It just felt great. That exercise has never hurt my shoulder before. What the heck is going on? Well, staying out of pain and performing well is a two-pronged approach. The first is cleaning up all of the things we have control over. The second is taking this capacity and raising it. The purpose of training. Any coach trainer that is worth their weight. The purpose is to intentionally and deliberately create favorable adaptations so that your capacity goes up. The reason we work out is to recover from the stress of the workout so capacity goes up. And now, instead of your client or yourself waking up in the morning with this much of a margin for error before something goes wrong, you, your clients, whoever has had all of this cleaned up can wake up with this much of a margin for error before things go wrong. And I don't know about you, I'd rather be the person on the right. So after going through the kinds of protocols where ranges of motion are improved, where strength and control are improved, and capacity for your body to do work is improved, you end up with a lot more space to do a lot more things.